That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Hello and welcome to Content and Capable, a podcast where I try to figure out what it really means to be an adult. My name's Sam and today's guest is Philomena, and today we're going to be talking about all things voice acting and the creative industries. Welcome to Content and Capable. It's so lovely to have you.
Thank you.
We start each episode with a general question, and it is, what adulting have you had to do recently?
Oh God. So recently I have had to pay for a ticket that I got while I was driving down a very secluded highway. I was following the person in front of me. I was going the same speed as them.
Yep.
But the cop comes up behind me and she gets me to pull over. And she's like, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I say to her, "Oh, it's because my tags are expired, isn't it? I mean, I'm driving with expired tags, and that's why you're pulling me over, because I was driving with expired tags. But because of COVID, the province was like, if you have expired tags, we get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's, it's the plague. It's been kind of hard to update everything. But I say to the cop, I'm like, "Oh, it's the expired tags. I heard it was fine." And she was like, "I didn't see the expired tags, but I can look at your tags." Anyway, so...
No, that sounds like that's the best. Oh, I love that. Oh, just makes my adulting sounds tame. Although the one time I ever got pulled over was the night of my graduation. I was driving home. It was 11 o'clock at night. I had all of my siblings in the back of the car and I was speeding because I just needed to get home. I was tired. So I sped and I was driving 20 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. Cop car pulls me over on my home street.
No!
And goes, "Do you know why you've been cutting corners, you've been speeding, don't do that. Let me off with a warning after doing a breath test." And I was like, because he saw I was in my school uniform. I had 4 other siblings in the back of the car, just sitting there. It's 11 o'clock at night. The car is for this particular event, somehow we managed to have to bring 10 instruments. So we had 10 instruments sitting in the boot of the car. So, there was no way we could see anything. And I'm sitting there just okay. And then I pull up and I go into my parents' driveway. I wait for 5 minutes for the policeman to come and do a U-turn in the cul-de-sac, and he doesn't. I stand there for 5 minutes terrified that this policeman's going to come and do a U-turn. Then I tell my parents that I got pulled over 500 meters away from home, and they just laugh. They think it's the funniest thing ever. It was... the amount of stupid shit that I do sometimes in a car and just don't get in trouble for it. I spent yesterday, I'm a journalist, and so for my journalism degree, I'm doing an assignment on a highway upgrade that they're doing, which is quite important to the region. Boring stuff, but I decided to make it more interesting. I was going to film myself driving that stretch of road. So it's like a 10-minute drive, and the whole drive, the camera, so my phone is on a tripod right in front of the speedo, so I can't see what speed I'm going, and it's shaking. And I'm trying to adjust it as well. It was just the most chaotic and dangerous thing ever. I was surprised someone didn't look at me and go, "What the hell is this person doing?" Oh, it's been a wild ride. Driving's a trap. Don't do it.
It really is. It really is.
Like, you think it's freeing and, like, it's going to give me independence and I can get to places so much easier. It's like, no. A, you've got bills to pay, and B, you're probably going to get pulled over at some stage for doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. And I was just, my brother almost bought a car the other day, and me and my parents spent 6 months trying to convince him that he shouldn't buy this car. And then it took until they went and got the roadworthy, and it failed the roadworthy certificate. And he's like, okay, I'm not buying it. I'm like, yeah, duh, you don't need a car. Public transport for the win.
I was very lucky for a long time to be living in a much more urban area where public transit was, like, ubiquitous. Yeah. But where I'm living now, it's like a village of 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So I kind of am cursed to have to drive to places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I could completely understand it. Where my parents lived is quite quite remote. So I can get up there from where I'm living now in the city quite easily, but it's like the last 2 kilometers to my parents' place, which I either need to ride or drive or, be picked up or something. And it's always the worst. Just the worst. Traveling. Public transport is shit here as well. Like, I miss a train by 30 seconds and I have to wait half an hour for another train. And it's like...
It's horrible. It's
just like... And like, I'm a bit of a transport geek, and I was watching these videos talking about, because they're upgrading our transport system here in Brisbane is where I live.
Oh yeah.
And they're talking about how they shouldn't be upgrading it because they don't even utilize the current capacity well enough. We could be having more trains per hour. And I'm sitting there going, fuck, please, I want more trains. So how did you get into voice acting?
Okay, so long story short, my audio drama voice acting started in 2018 with a show called Project Ozma from the Goose Thunder podcasting network. But my secret history, my distant past, my ancient lore is that I used to do Sims 3 YouTube machinimas. When I was in middle school with friends of mine. And so that's why I had a microphone at home and knew how to use Audacity.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just supposed to say that is the weirdest way to get into something. Oh yeah, in middle school we just did Sims.
Yeah, no. And they're all long deleted projects. None of them have survived the years of internet purges, right? But no, it's hilarious. Because Sims Machinima is gone at this point. Nobody's making that anymore. Our Machinimas, I know Gacha Life is a game that people do machinima with now, but is anybody in the mainstream doing machinima anymore? I don't think people are.
I feel like it would have come up on come up somewhere, and someone would have written an article going, "Why is this back?" Or
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you get approached to do audio projects like that? Do people just go, "Oh, I've seen your work in this, and here, I've got a project I want to do. Can you do this?"
That's some of it, yeah. A lot of what I do currently is open call auditions. I'm not represented by anybody, so anything more private than a backstage listing is not really something I can access at this point.
Yeah.
But right now, in the year 2021, a lot of the projects that I'm doing are auditions from actually Twitter, funnily enough. A lot of audio drama shows, they will, in their first cycle of Twitter, their first tweets will be these open casting calls.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how do you go about finding them on Twitter then? Because obviously they don't have many tweets. They probably don't have a large following. How do you end up... Yeah.
So there are a few people that like collate these listings. One of them is Audio Drama Auditions, which is a Twitter account. But there's also mailing lists that you can join through different websites. I think that Will Williams has a newsletter that they put out, and that will occasionally have classified ads for actors.
Yeah. And so, I know I sound like everyone's aunt or parent or grandparent when I ask this, but where's the hope? Like, what do you hope in doing beyond, the panorama?
Well, so one of the things that I really missed when I went off to college was I didn't get to do community theater as much.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really loved living in a small community is, we have the town that I'm from, Rockville, Ontario. It has a really thriving theater scene when there's not a pandemic. And like the whole little strip of the St. Lawrence Seaway here, like there's a Shakespeare festival every summer. There's, tons of theater reviews. There's an operatic society. There's a concert band. But none of that can happen right now, right? And so when I was in college, in 2018, I started to really miss doing live theater. Yeah. And so what I did to kind of fill that void in my heart was audio drama.
Yeah.
And so like during the pandemic, that itch has really been scratched by continuing to do audio drama and getting deeper into that community. But I really do want to go back to doing live theater when that opens back up.
So what did you study in college then?
I'm currently attempting to finish an English degree.
That sounds like a trap.
Yeah. It's been tough. I had a health scare a few years ago, and I had to take a year off school, and then the pandemic, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally understand. I graduated high school in 2019, and went into had a whole mental health breakdown in the middle of 2019, sparked, funnily enough, by the firing of my physics teacher, which was highly controversial because he'd only been there for 3 months. But that
sounds like a story.
Well, okay. So our physics teacher of old was this amazing, young guy, but he was really unhappy because the head of science was stepping down, but he wasn't. He wanted the head of science position, but no one was going to give him the head of science position. And so he was unhappy, so in protest, he moved schools. Right before my year level got to year 12, which final year of high school. Anyway, so he's like, yep, you'll get a new physics teacher. He's from Victoria. He's got like a PhD. He's super smart. And so we're like, okay, cool. We trust you. If you trust him, we trust you. We had another physics teacher, but she was learning the new system that was coming through the year below us because they changed the way that the school system ran. So she did that one because she was more familiar with that. And so he got this brand new teacher to take us for the year. The first 3 months were awesome. He was a little bit weird, but we didn't find anything wrong with him. He wasn't creepy weird. He was just like a little too excited about physics, which was, fine. He had some weird ideas about how assignments should be marked, and we were like, yeah, we'll deal with that. Anyway, the story goes, and we never got told this, but the story goes, he was having arguments with the head of curriculum because he wanted to like expand the science department to, you know, work a little bit better. The science department hadn't been like upgraded since the late 80s, so there was nothing special about it. And the head of curriculum said no, and said no, and said no. As the story goes, one Thursday afternoon, he was in a meeting with her, and he lost the plot at her, and she fired him on the spot.
Whoa.
So that's the story. I was in class on Thursday afternoon after school because I did music extension through year 12, and I went outside to get some water, and I saw him moving boxes to his car. I thought it was just like him moving stuff because he was a bit weird and he loved over preparing for things. Mm-hmm. And I get to school on Friday. Keep in mind, the musical was running the next week and I was in the musical. So we turn up to school the next day. The other physics class turns up and they get a relief teacher. And then the head of science and the head of curriculum walk in and go, this teacher is no longer teaching at this school. This is what's going to happen. We had an assignment due in 2 weeks' time. Half of the physics class was going to the musical, which was taking a full week out of our time. And we all sat there and gone, what the actual fuck are you doing? This is our final year of school and you're doing what? So the poor physics teacher who was just doing like the new curriculum had to learn our curriculum, had to check over our exams that we'd done the term before and realized that they'd all been marked wrong, so had to remark them all. And then had to learn our curriculum and teach it at the same time throughout the whole rest of it. And that sparked just a spiral.
Insane.
Yeah. And so it just sparked this huge spiral of mental health for me. I was already doing a lot. I was doing an extra subject on top of everything else at the school. And like the head of curriculum had to keep pulling me aside and going, are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? And I was the chair of the Student Representative Council. I was running around and, you know, I played in the school bands, and I was in the school musical, which was, you know, the first half of the year gone for me. It was my final year of school, so I was trying to enjoy it at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I just lost it. It got to the point where at the end of the first semester, I was in such a spiral that I would sit on the floor of my mother's bedroom crying about writing like 200 words.
Oh my God.
I was terrible. So ended up getting diagnosed with depression and being put on antidepressants. But like that was a rough time for me because it was just, and like the importance of, you know, theatre. Like I'm so glad that I then spent the next week doing, you know, completely investing in a musical theatre thing because I just could not. If I had thought about that much more, I think I would have been not that. Like, I would be much worse than what I am today. But yeah, it was... I don't know how we got on this tangent, let's be honest. Physics teacher, talking about... Yeah, and
I
the
was
musical
talking...
theatre.
About the health scare that I had that took
Oh,
me
the
out
health
of-
scare, yeah. Yeah, and so, you know, I've always, whenever someone says, oh, I had a health scare, I go, oh, you know, I really hope you're okay because, like, I've experienced it now. Like, before then, I had, like, no mercy for people who said, oh, I had a health scare, or I'm really struggling with my mental health. And now my approach is full, complete, you know, I'll look after you. How can I protect you? Because I realize that it is very damaging.
Yeah. I mean, something that I'm not like shy about the details at all because I think that my university is a hellscape and I want the head of the health department to be fired. But like I had to be pulled out of an exam in an ambulance because of the cardiac episode that I had.
No.
Because of the stress. Because I have I just hit the mic. I have a congestive cardiac issue where I have like arrhythmia and stuff. And during exams, I was just having so much anxiety that it would trigger cardiac episodes. And yeah, I had one so bad that I had to get taken to the hospital during an exam.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I think
and then they suspended me because I failed on my classes. So
that's just the worst. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I because I do a creative industries course. I feel like I know my head of the head of the School of Journalism quite well. Mm-hmm. I feel like I don't know whether I get preferential treatment, but I feel like we get looked after a little bit. But then I was talking to my brother who's studying physics at the same institution, and he's talking about the lack of exams. He's like, I was expecting to have so many exams. And I sat there and I was thinking about it, and I realized that, things like that where people get so stressed that they actually have physical health issues or like it affects their physical health. I feel like that is one of the reasons why exams are becoming like less and less of a thing in like high schools and universities, especially because like usually all the resources you need are in a book somewhere. I know, especially for myself, style guides exist. So I don't need to worry about, memorizing a style guide or, knowing exactly, the internet exists so I can cross-reference and check things as well. And it just, it makes me a little sad sometimes when I see people unduly stressed about exams, because obviously, it's really important, especially at like college and university where, we're actually paying for our education. But at the same time, it should not come at the cost of our physical and mental health.
No. I'm extremely jealous of people who live in the European Union and who like live in countries that do have free post-secondary education. Like I am so covetous of that. I wish we could live the way that they live.
Oh, no, 100%. Like, even in Australia, so Australia operates very similarly to America, but our student loan system is all federalized, it's not privatized. But like, still, I so wish that I didn't have to go into debt just to be able to, get the education at the institution that I feel that best fits me. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, it makes me sad sometimes when I see, I have a couple of friends who've been at university for like 5 or 6 years because they've changed their degree like 3 times, because each time they get to like, I don't know, halfway through their degree and realize, this is not for me, or this is just becoming way too stressful and this is not the industry I want to go into. Especially creative industries, I find.
Well, there's definitely that sense of burnout, I feel as though a lot of students get when they are in more creative programs. Like, I know students that were doing visual arts, fine arts degrees. Yeah. And the critiques that they have to do every single day for every single piece that they create, it drives them insane. They have to drop out because like that much of a critical lens on them and like their interior self constantly, it's just horrible for them, Yeah.
And it's really quite unhealthy. And I think this is a testament to how unhealthy creative jobs are. I was watching the documentary on the making of Frozen 2. And I watched that all from end to end. And then I went and watched Shafrilis Productions. I feel like I'm pronouncing that right. He's this guy who makes, critiques on things. He really likes DreamWorks, but he talks about Disney a bit. Anyway, he made a comment when reviewing Frozen 2, and he said, if you watch that documentary, you can see that they rushed it. Because remember, Frozen 2 got pushed forward a year. Yeah. And so the reason why Frozen 2 was so half-baked was because they pressured and rushed these creative people to produce something. And it's like, well, no, that's not what, like, the point of something creative. It's supposed to be polished and really, like, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
But it just makes me mad sometimes. Like, as a journalist, my life is deadlines and, I don't consider myself necessarily a very creative person. But then at the same time, I look at, some of the assessments that I have to do and realize that I am being quite creative.
Yeah.
But
well, I think in all of the courses I've taken where we've had to look at journalism is, in its own way, a creative nonfiction,
Yeah, it is. And it's creating the desired effect. Like, we're not changing facts. That's not what journalists are. But it's like changing the way that facts are approached or they're arranged so it makes sense to a 10th grader. It flows well and it explains, the reasons behind why it's relevant, etc., etc. And sometimes that is, a really fulfilling creative thing. And other times it's just ticking boxes, which, sometimes I need to just tick boxes and let that, continue. It's very interesting because I sat down and I'm working on a feature article at the moment, and I sat down and interviewed someone yesterday, and he was the worst interview I've done in a while.
Oh my.
So I told him, this is just for a university assignment, it's not going to be published anywhere. He goes, okay, I don't want my name on it. And I went, ooh, this is a big red flag. And because, if you can't accredit someone and they're just wishing to be off the record for privacy reasons, I was told by the person who helped me score this interview that, he should be pretty good to get on the record. And he just shut me down. And so I did this interview out in half an hour because I wasn't going to pursue it. And the assignment's due in 2 weeks' time. I've had to completely change the way I approach this assessment. And I'm not looking forward to trying to fix that one because it is a creative one and it requires a lot more work.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kinds of voice acting do you do?
Again, so it's mostly for me audio drama podcasts.
Okay,
I've also done an weensy little bit of work in some online musicals. This year I was in the chorus for Blaseball, the musical, if you're familiar with Blaseball at all.
No, I don't think I am. I'm going to have to go watch it.
It's a video game, kind of. It's a new multimedia internet experience.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a really wishy-washy way to describe it, but
that's perfectly fine.
There was this fan project that sort of takes characters from the game and kind of solidifies their backstories, and it was such an interesting project. I initially thought that it was an original property when I auditioned for it, and then as I became, more familiar with Blaseball as a concept, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. But yeah, most of the voiceover that I do is in audio drama.
Wow. So, when you say audio drama, it's like podcasts. So obviously, podcasts, the audio drama. Wow, I'm really going in circles here. That was.
It's okay. It's okay.
So, podcasts, drama stuff, but also adapted versions of things. What are some of the notable highlights?
Oh, I would say the most notable credits on my resume are probably Me and AU, which was from the Procyon Podcast Network. They also produced Station to Station, The Strange Case of Starship Iris, and I can't remember. Okay.
That's okay. Is it hard, voice acting? Do you, obviously there's a little bit of training involved, but...
I would say, okay, so one of the things that like podcasting as a medium is very well known for is the alleged ease of access, right?
Alleged.
A lot of people allege that it's very easy to get into podcasting because there's a very low bar to production.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have an iPhone, you can download the Anchor app and then record directly like raw audio into Anchor and then distribute a podcast. And that's like, it's very simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple to hit record on an iPhone for an hour, not do any cuts at all, and then put it on Anchor on an RSS feed, and now it's a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, because of this ease of production, a lot of people do think of it as a more simple medium or like an easier medium to produce for, but that's not always true.
No.
I mean, it's as difficult as any other medium of art, right? Like, it takes as much energy from you as you put in.
Yeah.
If you want to create something that is, you know, high art and has these like beautiful soundscapes that you record from raw audio in the field and, you know, is recorded on Behringer microphones, you know, you can do that. I don't own a Behringer. But, you know, I do try to create the best art that I can.
Yeah.
You know?
And like,
so,
I suppose...
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I suppose it's all limited to, as you said, the amount of energy you wanted to put in. Like, I did film and television all the way through high school, and it was draining. I would sit there. Sometimes I would get so invested in it and want to spend like 4 hours straight editing. And other times I'd sit there and I would scroll through the thing, play it through a couple of times, and go, nah, not today. Do not have the mental capacity to edit that. But so, and you raise a really interesting point, because I have had a couple of friends who have started podcasts here in Australia, and I listened to like one episode and just was not going to listen again, because as you said, yes, there is a low bar to entry, but that doesn't mean that you can't make quality. And quality, I find, quality audio is some of the hardest things, but like the most rewarding thing to get.
Yeah.
You can get quality video and someone still bash you for it. You can get quality audio and everyone is going to go, yes, that's quality audio. And I find it quite frustrating when I see people who... How I'm going to phrase this so I'm nice to people who might be listening to this. See people who think that a low bar to entry means that you don't have to invest time and effort into this. Like, so as of recording, I launched the podcast today, privately to the people on the Movie Night Crew Network Discord. And I will be launching it publicly this afternoon once, America goes to sleep. So I don't get people confused as to why I published everything on a Sunday. And I, it took a lot of effort. So, I paid someone to create artwork and to create music for the podcast. As well as, in talks with Christina, who runs the Movie Night Crew Network, in talks with them to make sure that, like, my podcast idea was sound and that the plan was sound, but then also to, the technical things, like getting a microphone that is relatively high quality. We're about to sit down at some stage and share with each other our Audacity editing tips, because everyone seems to use Audacity in a very slightly different way. And, how we take advantage of certain things like, Twitter and Instagram. We're slowly convincing My Cabbages, which is a Avatar: The Last Airbender podcast.
Yeah, Charlie was telling me about that the other night.
Yeah, we're slowly convincing them to try to get Instagram. Oh, they're like Alex and Zach are moving at the moment, so no pressure on them. But at the same time, you know, Charlie and Taylor and Christina have found, you know, they get quite a decent audience from Instagram who come and listen to the podcast, aside from like being on Twitter or Facebook or TikTok or whatever. So I find that very interesting, and like, you know, it takes a lot more effort to do anything creative than people first think. I think people who do like maths and science, as much as I was a maths and science nerd in high school, I think people who do maths and science,
not for me.
yeah. It's not for everyone, let's be honest. Somehow I did maths and science and music and film, so I got everything. But people in maths and science...
You have immense power, Sam. You have immense power.
All the power. I scare some people sometimes when I pivot into... I was on a Discord server the other night, and we were it was a games night, and we were playing a couple of games, and then someone realised that they had a quiz due at midnight. So we all jumped on and we helped this guy with this quiz on like circuits. So we're sitting there, I'm sitting there as a journalism student debating with the engineering and IT students about circuits, telling them that they're wrong and then being right myself, and terrifying the living hell out of these people because they just was like, how do you know this stuff? And I'm like, it's not that hard. But like maths and science people, I find think it's really easy. Like it's low barrier to entry. You know, use your phone. But then at the same time, you know, there's a lot more that you think about when you film video, when you record audio, or when you do something creative, because it requires that forethought and energy that, you know, maths and science doesn't necessarily require. Like, you know, you could just chuck things into an equation, and yes, you do have to think creatively and like outside the box sometimes, but it's just, you know, it's not 100% the same. And watching people make that assumption kind of saddens me, because then they turn out and like talk to them about a movie and they're like a big movie snob and they've got all these opinions, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, but you've also got to appreciate the movie for what it is.
Exactly! Yes, okay. Obviously, we're going to talk more about this during Into the Barbieverse, but, like, I get so heated about people who do not understand, like, the stated thesis of a film.
Yeah.
If you are going in to, like Rogue One, right? I was just watching this Jenny Nicholson video, like top 10 worst reasons to like Rogue One. It's a video from like 2016. It's a very old video, but I was rewatching it, and she was like, all of these deaths are so mundane. They have no real purpose. And I'm just like, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, Rogue One. It's a movie about war. It's a movie about, like, it's a movie about people ceaselessly dying for a cause. It's about, like, the mundanity of death and how, like, people do just die. That's how it works. But, no, I was just, like, you have to really think about what a movie is trying to do. And if it reaches that goal, that's a successful film to me.
Yeah.
If it's trying to do something and it just misses entirely, you know, the Tommy Wiseaus of the planet Earth, right? You know, The Room is not the cinematography of The Room is not effective, right? The cinematography of Memento is obscene. You could watch that movie 100 times and find new things every time. Like, yeah, anyway.
100%. Like, one of the last units we did in film and television was surrealism, and we watched Being John Malkovich, which I love. I think it's one of the best movies ever. And people were physically disgusted by this movie, and I sat there and going, yeah, but you don't understand why. Like, the thesis of this film meant that, you were supposed to be disgusted, and that's what
Yeah.
made it good. And, and then, like, aside from, like, accepting the fact that, things exist for a purpose, you've also got to, like, accept the fact that effort was put into that, and you should support that effort as long as, morals and ethics as well. But, if someone's made a feature-length film, that's a big effort and a big ask for someone. Or even, like, a 5-minute film, like, the golden rule that I've always been told is for every 1 minute of video, it's an hour worth of editing. And that's not including, filming, setup, planning, So, if you go and watch, like, a 30-minute video, think about like, next time someone jumps on, and this is mainly for the audience, but next time you jump on YouTube, think about, like, the amount of hours that go into that particular video. I regularly sit down and watch 30-minute videos, and it's amazing the amount and, like, the quality that people could create consistently week after week with, and putting all this effort in. I think it's really amazing. And then that, like, I watch my siblings and just have no understanding of that concept. And, watch them go, meh, that wasn't that good. Or, I don't want to watch that because it's boring. It's like, well, there's an underlying reason for that, and you're not explaining it very well. So please explain. So
that's why I love introducing Studio Ghibli to young children.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Like, a kid's first time watching Ponyo is a religious experience for me.
See, I've watched Ponyo. I think I've watched the first hour of Ponyo, like, 20 times.
Oh, yeah.
And the last, like, little bit, only because we would watch it in Japanese class. And so we would get, like, about an hour in, and then class would be finished, and then we wouldn't watch it again. And then, like, 3 months later, we'd go and rewatch it. And I love Ponyo. I have watched the whole thing. But it is, like, Studio Ghibli is, like, A+++ standard for how films, are supposed to be executed with enough creative control and artistic vision to deliver this, amazing concept that teaches. They're all fables as well. They all teach you some sort of lesson.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Which I feel like some people forget. Like, they get obsessed with, like, the animation, but it's like everything combined makes this amazing, amazing, like, experience. And this is the other thing. One of my pet peeves is when I'm watching a movie and someone else is trying to do something else. And, like, if I'm sitting in the cinema, I'm there to suspend disbelief. I do not understand the people who sit there and go, that's unrealistic, or that's terrible, or, it's like, no, we're there to suspend disbelief.
Their
and
shoelaces
enjoy.
are white in this shot, and then their shoelaces are beige in this shot? Ding?
Yeah,
it's like,
no.
Like, thank you, CinemaSins, for poisoning an entire generation. Like, nobody has critical thinking skills when it comes to film anymore because of your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, I had to stop watching CinemaSins because it was just so negative. I'm sitting there going, and obviously they've got their counteract Cinema Wins now, and I think that was really smart of them. But at the same time, I understand where they were coming from, but the unintended consequence is exactly what you said. No critical thinking. This whole picking things apart for just picking apart things' sake, which I think is a terrible way to treat artists.
Yes, precisely, exactly.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
What are your opinions on being paid with exposure?
Okay, so here's my thing, right? The audio drama industry, the indie wing of the audio drama industry, very much is being paid an experience. Right now, I am part of a few paid productions that do like ethically price out labor, by the hour or by the line, and it's great. But like the default for a lot of like the indie sphere is unpaid work. Yeah. And it is very often unpaid work, and also you should be happy to have a role at all. It's unpaid work with a smile.
Yeah.
And again, I'm very sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. You're very
I'm very grateful for the roles that I do have, paid or unpaid. But it is disheartening to have to pass up on roles because I don't have time for an unpaid role. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I dedicate a certain amount of time to voiceover every week, every month, right? Because I do have a day job.
Yeah.
And there are some great projects that are coming out that, they could be applying to their local arts council for grants. Mm-hmm. I've been part of projects that did receive grant money, and those were the best paid projects I've been a part of because they applied to their local arts councils to get money to pay their actors with.
Yeah.
I
think that is one of them. And like, it's not even just like voiceovers or musicians or what I think is the cause of this is this assumption that you're going to make it big somewhere. And that is not always the case. Sometimes you want to sit at that level and you want to be the best at that level. I had this really great experience. So I play trombone in a quite highly successful concert band. And throughout 2019, I'm going to say it right now.
You do have trombone energy. You do have a very trombone vibe. Sorry,
look,
go ahead.
Is it here? Yeah, it's just there.
I've only got my trumpet in here with me, but my flute's in the other room. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So throughout 2019, obviously last year of school, so I was playing in school bands, but I was also a part of the Queensland Youth Orchestra, which and Northside Concert Orchestra. So Queensland Youth Orchestra was a highly successful like school level private band, and the Northside Concert Orchestras was like this community concert band, and they both went to the National Band Championships that year, which happened to be held in my city. And I went and we were chatting about it because I was still trying to decide where I wanted to go beyond, year 12. And this is like at Easter time, and I graduated in November and I had to make a decision by like June, July. So I was chatting to these musicians, these community band musicians, and one of the bass trombone player I was sitting with, I was chatting to him, and he made this very incredible observation, which I think is very pertinent to the kinds of conversations we need to have around art. It's like, if you want to be, like a professional level community band person, that is totally fine. You do not have to pursue it further. You can sit at your level and be content with, where you're sat at, and enjoy your time there. And obviously, keep pushing yourself and maybe find new things and projects, but you don't have to pursue it at a professional level. And I think that that's really, really quite important. One of my pet peeves is when, like myself as a journalist, we do lots of unpaid internships because that's just the nature of the news media here. Daddy Murdoch, he owns all the newspapers here in my state, so there is not much escaping him, and so industry standard is industry standard. But what peeved me was when my friends told me that they had to pay for their own insurance because the university wouldn't cover it. And it's like, this internship... What? This internship was through the university. They got it through the university, and the university refused to pay for their insurance.
That's obscene. That's obscene.
because there's two kinds of insurance. There's our work integrated learning insurance, which goes under, you take work integrated learning as a subject and you go and do an internship and I think you've got to like write a report or something at the end of it. And so you get insurance out of that. They've kept that insurance because every other department has work integrated learning a part of it, and so everyone gets that insurance. But the external insurance for, internships was cut. And no one was told. So we went up to our lecturers and I started asking questions and they went, we had no idea. So people have had to like...
despicable.
Yeah. People have had to like decline internships and wait until they're like in a more financially secure space before coughing up like $500 or $600 to be insured for 6 months or, a certain amount of working hours. And it was, yeah. And like those things are the things that peeve me off. I understand, there is a point where you're going to have to like work for exposure, but then there is a point where you draw the line. So when I interact with artists now, I insist on paying. So the friend of mine who did the artwork, I was chatting to them and they said to me, it wasn't that much work. I just kind of threw these things together. I'm like, no, I insist on paying. How much do I owe you? Because there is no, they're studying art, and that's what they want to become. But by not paying them, you're setting a precedent and like a mental precedent in their head that their work is not worth money. And that just pisses me off. And what grinds my gears, and I understand why like some places have to do this, but paying to be a part of a band, especially one that earns a lot of money, should not be a thing. So, I understand like community concert bands who, might get 2 or 3 gigs and not make enough money, and that money goes straight back into fundraising or preparing for the next gig or, buying new equipment. I understand that.
Okay, so I've only ever been part of community orchestras.
Yeah.
So I've never been part of a professional orchestra, but the one band that I was in that did get paid to do performances, we would always, like, if it was a dinner concert that we were performing, we would get dinner. Or if it was a, so it's like a Maltese concert band that I was in. And so we would often play Maltese church services. And so, like, if we were ever playing a Maltese church service, we would have, like, a space in the church to like get dinner catered for us.
Yeah.
Like I did not go hungry in that band.
Not with the Maltese around. They'll definitely be feeding you there. But No, but and then there was no dues to join that. Like that's obscene. Yeah. And it was, So I run a community band here at my university, and we charge like $30 for each 6 month that you're a part of each semester you're a part of the band, and that's expensive. We want to lower that price. But at the same time, when we get paid to do gigs. Like, obviously, through COVID, we couldn't get paid to do gigs. But when we get paid to do gigs and we have things from grants and stuff, we can start lowering those fees a little more. Unfortunately, we have to pay for our, like, facilitator. And so
paying a conductor is, like, it's the norm.
It is the norm. And unfortunately, that is... one of our biggest expenses because the university fucked us over.
Don't you love it?
Yeah, no.
The only dark academia I know is reality.
Yeah. It's amazing how much the university hates clubs. Not even just the arts. The university hates arts. It's a fact of life. But the amount that the university hates clubs and societies... got to the point where we made official complaints to, like, our student representatives. Because there was no way. We turned around and we said, we cannot exist as a club beyond this point because they kept on taking things away from us for no reason, just because we're rearranging things and, you don't have guaranteed access to it. And we finally solved the issue, but, like, it should not have taken 6 months and threats to disband the club to find a permanent rehearsal space to rehearse without telling us, without giving us unrealistic expectations. Like, they told us, you can only rehearse between 12 and 2 p.m. every day. And we go,
you mean that time of day when everybody has class?
well, we rehearse on a Sunday, but that was, we do, like, jam sessions during the week, and we turned around and go, fucking hell, no. And then, so, on a Sunday, and we're like, okay, the city says we're allowed to have amplified sound until 6 o'clock. Why are you doing this? And we're like, oh, it's just the rules. We're like, fucking hell, okay. We will play your game. Okay, define amplified sound, because we're fucking musicians. We know what amplified sound means, and we can fit that definition, but if you're going to give us a different definition and get mad at us, we don't want you getting mad at us anymore. Like, yeah, all sound. All sound needs to be between the hours of 12 and 2 p.m. We keep in mind, this goes from us to the student council, to the university, then to another level of the university, back down, back to the student council, and then back to us. And that's how far the email chain goes. But we went, okay, we need a minimum of 5 hours to run our rehearsals effectively without having to disband the club. And they said, too bad. So I was so distressed that I went to our student council and went and spoke to them in person. I was shaking with rage because it made zero sense to me as to why, they would like keep changing the rules and keep shifting the goalposts. And it's not like we were the only club that was being affected by it. It was just, we were the club that was being affected by everything. So we finally got a new rehearsal space. But our storage solution, all of our membership fees plus some go to hiring an off-campus storage solution because the university removed our storage and told us we can't use it anymore, even though they don't use that area.
I'm befuddled.
Yep. It's been a wild ride. Like, I took this executive position in November. We haven't stopped. We haven't, like, had a break. I need a Kit Kat. We go on holidays. Exams start, like, in a week and a half's time. And we go on holidays 2 weeks after that. So we've got about a month left of university. And me and the rest of the executive team are going, please don't talk to us anymore. We're like Harry in the corner. Please don't, it's just terrible. And like the way that people treat the arts, it just messes me up.
No, it's complete garbage. It's complete garbage.
Yeah. And I often like try to think, where has this come from? Where is this like... It's very funny. They've doubled the price of arts degrees here in Australia because the federal government controls the prices of university degrees. Anyway, they've doubled them. And so everyone's up in arms. I don't have to pay the double price because I started university in time before the cutoff. But very interesting comment that was made to me was, all those politicians have arts degrees. They had them when they were free. And now that they've doubled the price of them, telling us that they're not relevant, is this like sending a message on, how they, what they think their government is? Like, you don't live in a dictatorship. You're not there for life. Anyway, it's the lovely stresses of being a student beyond, and being an adult, having to deal with this bullshit. And so, like, back into musical theatre, like, what were your favourite parts of musical theatre?
Definitely the, like, community building, team building.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I loathe to call it family building, but that is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I was in, like, my first year of university and my second year, I was still kind of working towards a drama minor.
Yeah.
I'm very much trying to just get the English major done at this point. So the drama minor has gone to the wayside, but I don't know. There's just there's this indescribable energy to, you know, choreographing a scene.
Yeah.
Rehearsing the scene. You've done it 1,000 times over and over again, and now you're doing it for, like, the last time, and it has to be the best you've ever done it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's I'm one of those people. I very much enjoy being in support roles.
Yeah.
So, like, I really like being in the chorus. Solos freak me out.
Look,
but
yeah.
If I'm in, like, a pack, like a gaggle of 5 other people, it's much better for me emotionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I really love that sense of togetherness that you get from a cast in a live production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I was... Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was in the orchestra for both of our musicals, and the first one, the cultural centre that we do our musicals out of down the street, it got rid of its orchestra pit, which, big no-no. Anyway, so we decided... So we, like, played underneath the audience, in, like, a room underneath the audience seating area, and it was live streamed up to the speakers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So we didn't feel very a part of the family, let's be honest. And, like, I was quite young. I was, like, 16 at the time. It was, you know, everyone else was well older than me. The second musical we did, which was the physics teacher firing incident, I was 17, 18. And the musical director decided that the orchestra needed to be on stage with, so they built the stage around the orchestra. And so we played on the stage, and it was awesome because, like, it was the first time my parents got to sit and watch us, like, me and my 2 brothers, play, like, music we really loved.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Crazy for You was the musical we did. And it's awesome musical and lots of amazing stories. Somehow halfway through the week my phone, like, cucked it. So I would drive home and I'd have to get my brother to text. And then, like, 2 weeks after the musical finished, my brother put his phone through the washing machine. So it was like, I'm glad we sorted out the phone issues beforehand.
Oh my goodness.
But, you know, we almost had, like, bits of set drop on our heads because they'd lower them down and someone lowered them down way too fast. And the conductor is, like, 6'6". And really tall, lanky man, and he's standing there, he almost gets hit, and he, like, dodges out of the way, and it was a very fun time. And
I remember, like, 1,000 years ago, this must have been in, like, 2013 or something, but we were doing a production of The Music Man, and we had some of the set pieces on flies.
Yeah.
And one of the flies one of the flies like broke mid-show.
No.
And so there was just like, it was out of sight, but
Yeah.
there was a piece hanging by one of its two flies just, up there.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. No, we had all of our major set pieces on flies because we didn't have a large stage crew. So we just used flies, which turns out it took like a day and a half to set everything up because everything was wide as well. Like, it was lighting everywhere. And then we took it down in like an hour after the last show because we had until midnight to vacate the premises. And so we're taking this down and there's like 20 of us trying to hold up like this really heavy cardboard, like wooden sign and trying not to like die at the same time. It was awesome. I love that musical. And that was the one where I really felt that sense of community as well. Like, a lot of my friends were in the musical as well at that point. I wasn't just the weird music nerd doing the musical. And like, I was in year 12. I was free. We would like not turn up to school because we were just too tired. And like having that whole sense of community, and like after the musical as well, like I felt like I had made these friends who would like check up on me and see how I was going, which was really important, especially after the musical where, you know, things kind of went south because like obviously musicals are very stressful. It's not like television or a podcast where you can kind of like edit some things out. But like that whole feeling of, yes, we've done this, it's live, I've done a good job, and, you know, even last show, we decided we were going to go wild. So we started with the curtain up, ready to go, and what we decided to do as seniors is have a conga line. So like the orchestra would walk in, like trickle in themselves to sit down, and then like the show would start.
That's so
but
fun.
Instead, on the last night, instead of just trickling in normally, we just did this huge conga line. I got the audience involved, and they loved it. And then like we sat down, and I think there was a highlight of that show because I think in that show somehow, because Crazy for You is all about mistaken identity. And so one of the identities that are mistaken is a guy with a mustache. And somehow one of our leads lost his mustache halfway through. And it made it even funnier because they were both pretending to be drunk. So like he lost his mustache halfway through, but was like still pretending to be drunk. So they still thought that they were like each other. Very funny. But yes, that sense of family, and like I transferred that like into other aspects of my life as well, like keeping an eye out for people and trying to create that sense of family. You know, obviously it's really important to have people that check up on you, and you know, musical really emphasized that for me. So the final question before we head into plugs and wrap up: how do you feel like you're doing a good job as an adult?
God. I mean, I am definitely feeding myself. I am definitely clothing myself. I am definitely going to work every day. You know, I don't think I entirely know what my adult self is yet. Like, obviously, legally speaking, yes, I am of age. Yes, I can vote. Yes, I can drink. But, like, those aren't really things that make a person an adult.
No,
you know?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
I definitely think that this year has sort of solidified more of my adult self. Quarantine definitely transed my gender, you know, as it did for so many. But, you know, I think that one of the things that I really want to do in the coming year, in 2021, 2022, is I really want to start committing to like good habits that I like do by rote, you know, because one of the things that I have talked about a lot when I've been in therapy is how, like, thinking good thoughts is an important first step.
Yeah.
But, committing to good actions is the necessary end goal of any good thought.
Yeah.
And I think that that's definitely something that I still struggle with as an adult is consistency in my, like, positive actions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, one of the things I very much struggled with was, and I still struggle with it, is, I have a thought, but doing it or putting it on paper or, making myself accountable for it, I struggle so much with, because it is that really, touchy thing where, like, yes, it might not necessarily directly affect you now, but it's going to, directly affect you in the future, or, there are consequences to each and every action. And so by making deliberate choices to do good things or, do healthy things is really important. I've recently run out of groceries, and I've got to go grocery shopping this morning, but making that deliberate choice to go grocery shopping this morning instead of, usually after I record a podcast, I like curl up and watch TikToks for the rest of the day until I have to turn up to work, because it drains my social energy. But at the same time, like, I'm very much aware that I need to fill up the fridge, otherwise I have no food to eat. And, making yourself have consequences for your actions is very important. And I see people struggle with it all the time, and it's that extra step that just doesn't come sometimes. One of the ways I feel like I'm successfully adulting is when I turn around on, like, a Sunday morning and I wake up and I get out of bed and I go, I've got things to do, and I feel well rested because I've spent my Saturday night watching something, but I've got things to do and I feel confident that I can do it. It's not the end of the world, and I think that is one of the best ways to think about how successful you are as a human being.
Yeah. One of the things that I wish we as a society had, or rather, one of the things I wish that we as a society had is, I wish that we had secular church. I don't know what it is about feeling successful in a week, but I feel like if I have time to go to church, I'm not even Christian.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't been Christian for years, but I feel like if I have the time and mental energy to go to church, that's a golden week. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%, yeah.
Like, I've somehow done all my laundry, all the dishes, all the housekeeping. I don't have anything to do on Sunday morning. I can go and just sit in a pew and listen to a theologian talk about how Jesus was a refugee. It's Jesus. It's great.
Yeah.
Like,
look, I completely understand that, because, like, for context, I'm a Catholic, so I go to church every week. And so making that time to go to church is sometimes like a huge effort. And one of the things that made me so happy when this week was when I found out that the church that's a 5-minute walk away had a service at the time that I needed to go. And I was like, that's exactly perfect.
How serendipitous is that?
Yeah. And, like, I don't have to spend half an hour going into the city to get to, a church at the time that's convenient for me, when I can just, walk 5 minutes there, walk 5 minutes back, and I'm only gone for, like, an hour. And it's so satisfying sometimes, because half the time it's, terrible it's a terrible effort to get to church, and it really shouldn't be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hooky dokie. Thank you Thank you so much, Philomena, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I would love to plug. So I don't know how, like, political you guys are getting on the show, so feel free to, like, cut this. But
No, that's okay.
A movement that I'm really passionate about of late is podcasts against apartheid, and that's regarding the current crisis. The current conflict in Palestine.
Yeah.
So like, a friend of mine, Serena Rahal, she has been advocating recently for very vocally and actively fighting against the apartheid practices of Israel, and that's something that I really want to see more support for, is creating designated anti-apartheid spaces in this community, and across the arts in general, but specifically podcasting, because that's the industry that I'm in. But
I think that's super important. Peace is the end goal, and if we can find a way to have peace without tension, that's even better. And obviously that whole conflict there has been around for ages, and we just haven't acknowledged it. And then when it squares up, it's terrible. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Phil Sherwood VO. That's PHILO. Wait, no, that's my first name. PHILSHERWOODVO. And that's my professional Twitter account.
Yeah.
that's the Twitter account for the brand.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yes. No, that sounds amazing. I've been Samuel O'Brien. You can find me at sam.the.journalist on Instagram and TikTok. You can also find me at samobjournalist on Twitter. Not that I do a lot there, but I feel like I'm about to get a huge amount more followers, and I'm going to actually have to start doing something. I'm going to plug Hannah Gadsby's comedy special called Douglas. I watched it last night, and I feel like my neighbours are concerned for my health, because I laughed so much that I started choking. It was just funny, and like, it's not your typical stand-up comedy routine. It's just it's a little bit more nuanced, and it just made my day. It made my week. It was just a perfect comedy to, like, serious where it needed to be serious, but funny and just a little bit stupid, which was exactly what I needed this week.
Nice.
Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. You can follow the podcast socials at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram and Twitter. You can send a super boring email to us through contentandcapablepod@gmail.com. The art was done by Opia. You can follow them on opia_art on Instagram. Opia is spelled OPIA. Feel free to message them about making art for your project. Our music was written, recorded, and edited by Nora Strauss-Riggs. You can find Nora at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast. I am proud to be a part of the Movie Night Crew Network, which features Of the Eldest Gods, a chapter-by-chapter Rick Riordan pod full of myths and legends, My Cabbages, an Avatar podcast that follows the true hero of Avatar The Last Airbender, the Cabbage Cart Guy, Fandoms Gone Wrong, a show that discusses all things fandoms, the Movie Night Crew, join some friends as they react to some terrible, some meh, and some really great movies, and the Restricted section, a chapter-by-chapter Harry Potter pod with lots of spoilers all the time.
What's up, potheads? It's me, your host, Christina. Welcome to the Restricted section. No, we're not in Hogwarts. It's like a metaphor. Do you get it? Like, we're raunchy, and we get drunk, and we make sex jokes, and we have an all spoilers all the time policy. So, it's like the Restricted section. I've been told that explaining jokes makes them funnier. If you've ever wondered how the Marauders map actually works, if you've ever thought that maybe Snape sometimes wears jeans, if you've ever thought that Draco and Harry are for sure in love, I mean, they're for sure in love. If you've ever had a hard time deciding who you'd rather bang, Bill or Charlie, obviously Charlie, then this podcast is for you. You don't even have to do the reading, we'll do it for you. Catch the Restricted Section every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts, and find us online at Restricted Section Pod.
Content and Capable is a podcast all about answering the question, how do you adult? Don't forget to rate and review it on your favourite podcatcher, and I will see you next Monday for another episode.
That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
I feel every time I start a podcast, I feel like Sharpay and the start of a High School Musical.
I mean, you heard me doing "Come to My Barbecue, Please" as you came into the call, so I think we're on the same page here.